Hello and happy Friday, Glass Kickers. Welcome to the Friday Live Lunch and Learn here in the Kick Glass Career Women's Facebook group. I can't believe it, but I am wearing a long sleeve shirt and I've got my windows still cracked a little bit and I'm not sweltering hot. I am not sweating through my shirt today. It's a very beautiful, comfortable temperature today in Halifax. So I hope wherever you are today, you are breathing easy with the weather, because I know in pretty much all of the northeast of North America, we've been having some crazy humid hot days this summer, and it's finally sort of we can breathe, it's comfortable, it's nice, I'm wearing long sleeves. It's amazing. We gotta celebrate the little things sometimes, right? So today is day one of my 4-week series in the Friday Live Lunch and Learn that is all for Update Your Resume Month. That's what September is in the world of career professionals like myself. We celebrate September. We celebrate the September Update Your Resume Month. That's what it is for us. Really, it's really exciting over here being a career professional when that's what this is what we celebrate. Marlo just left us. So what I'm going to be doing over the next 4 weeks is I'm going to be tackling one section of your resume every week. So this week, week 1, I'm going to tackle the top section. Now, this is arguably the most important section of your entire resume, the very beginning. And the reason it's the most important section, or people argue it is, and I would be one of those people that would argue that your top section of your resume, that top 20% of your resume, is the most important part. That's the make or break part. And the reason why I think that is, and I'm not alone, the reason is it tends to be the part that is actually read, word for word read, and not just skimmed over. And it also is your opportunity to frame the way the rest of the information is going to be read. So right from the get-go, as soon as they read your name, whatever comes after that, really close to your name, which is also kind of a powerful thing, right? What's positioned close to your name is what's going to be identified or connected to your name. That chunk of information can change how someone reads everything else. It's sort of I might get in trouble here trying to do this, but it's sort of like how in the Star Wars movies, where they have that written part at the beginning, that scroll of information. You need to read that to understand everything that comes after it, right? So the whole movie is predicated on you understanding where you are in the universe and time frame. So it's context. It's providing the context for what comes after it. So you have the opportunity in this top 20% of your resume to frame the context so that people read the rest of your resume the way you want them to, with the key points that you want them to know in their mind already. So you get to sort of cement the foundation that is going to make or break how your resume is viewed by whoever's reading it. So, Update Your Resume Month. So I'm going to go through these sections talking a little bit more about how you can update your resume if you already have one. And most people do have one, but usually it's a little moldy, right? If you've had a job for a while, it's been sitting around, it's in some file folder, or it's saved in your email somewhere. You haven't looked at it because you haven't been looking for a job. But if you are looking for a job, dig out that resume and follow along over these next 4 weeks and make the updates that I'm suggesting. If you're not looking for a job, do it anyway. Do this too. You never know when a great opportunity is going to come your way. A lot of the best networking when you're looking for a job, or even when you're not looking for a job, happens when you least expect it. You know, it could happen in line at Starbucks, or it could happen on your weekend softball team. You just start talking to somebody and realize there might be an opportunity for you to make a move or for you to advance your career. great jobs are out there, and one could come by at any moment, and I want you to be ready. I want you to have a stellar resume that you can just hand off or send to somebody shortly after meeting them. That shows that's impressive, right? You don't want to meet somebody, be like, oh, that sounds great, and they say, well, great, just send me your resume and I'll forward it on to my boss, or I'll make the referral for you. Just send me your resume. And then they have to wait 3 or 4 days while you get things together. It's best to have this all done now. So, new school year, fresh new start for a lot of people. Let's update those resumes, okay? So here we go. We're going to talk about the top 20% of your resume, the top chunk. Very first thing, your name and contact information. Now, last week I did a video on hiring manager pet peeves. That's a good one. I get into a little bit of a rant on that one. So you should check that out. But one of the pet peeves was incorrect contact information. So when you're updating your resume, make sure your contact information is right. Make sure your phone number is right. I know oftentimes when we upgrade our phone, sometimes we end up with a new number. So if that happened recently or within the last, or any time since you last updated your resume, go in and update your phone number now. Make sure that when you hand off your resume to someone, they can actually get in contact with you. Okay? Another note on contact information, your email address. Make sure that's correct. Make sure there's no typos in your email address. Look at it, read it word for word, make sure it's right. And if you haven't updated your resume in a really long time and you have one of those super unprofessional email addresses like, I don't know, Keg Queen or Whiskey Gal, change that. Make it a personal email address though. Don't use your work email address. Use a personal email address that is professional. Hopefully like just your name, maybe a couple numbers. Your address. So this one, this is sort of a little bit more job specific. So if you are searching for a job, but with your address, generally what I recommend is, city and province or city and state is fine. That's enough. You don't need your full mailing address. You don't need your P.O. box number on there. Just city and state is more than fine. The only reason I would leave the city and state off of your resume is if you're looking for a job out of town. If you're looking for a job out of province, out of country, out of state, then I would leave that off. Just so you're not sort of raising a red flag that relocation is going to be an issue. That's something that you can address when you get talking to somebody. But otherwise, city, state, city, province, that's all you need. Okay? So that's your name and contact information. Right under your name and contact information, I want you to have a headline, and I rarely see this on resumes. It's one of those things that I usually end up adding or creating for a new client because very rarely do people include a headline on their resume. And if you don't have one, I want you to add one. And you're probably thinking like, well, what is a headline? So it's sort of like a title. It's just like a title for your resume. So your name is not your title. I don't want that to be the title of your resume. What I want the headline or the title of your resume to be is basically your position title. And this is where that whole framing your resume comes into play. So if you're making a lateral move, so if you're a sales manager at this company, but you want to be a sales manager over there, sales manager is your headline. That's not too hard, right? If you're a software engineer here, you want to be a software engineer over there, software engineer. You could expand on that a little bit. You could put a dash and put anything that you're specifically good at, any area of expertise, something like that. So maybe you're a sales manager, but you specialize in pharmaceutical sales. Or you're a sales manager and you specialize in, I don't know, HVAC systems. I don't know. You could put that in your headline as well, if that's where you're looking to stay. If you're looking to stay in that same industry, if you're looking to stay within your niche, your area of expertise, I would include that. I would just put a little dash and I would include that your industry specialty after your position title. If you're making a slight step up, it's also fairly simple. I might, instead of, if you're like looking to go from manager to director, I might put sales leader, because that's a little bit more general. It doesn't hem you into just management. It's leadership. It would be required at the director level, so you could just put sales leader, and then again put your industry, desired industry, or your area of expertise after that. Okay? If you're making a very dramatic career change, like you're going from sales to software engineering, that's a much longer conversation, and I would suggest fire off a message to me and I will help you with that, or connect with another career expert who can help you with that, because drastic career changes make for quite a few challenges with the resume, and developing a headline that is truthful yet accurate can be a little bit tough, or truthful and still marketable, or salesy, I guess. It can be a little bit tougher if you're making a really drastic career change. So I would get in touch with somebody about that. Okay, so we got your name, we got your contact information, which is correct. Now we've added a headline, or we've updated your headline so that it accurately reflects who you are and where you're going. Now I want you to tackle your summary section. I will tell you, the summary section is probably the hardest section of a resume to put together. As a resume writer, I always leave it to last. I don't leave it to last because it's the hardest, but I leave it to last because I like drawing from the rest of the resume. As I go through the resume, when I'm developing like the career, the skills, the education, community involvement, all of that stuff tells me about the kind of person my client is, the kind of employee that they are, where I start to notice general themes about them, like whether or not they are always asked to turn around operations, or they're always asked to oversee the toughest projects, right? There tend to be some themes that emerge about who they are as an employee. Now, if you're updating your own resume, hopefully you already know what kind of employee you are, you know what your strengths are, you know where you excel, you know the accomplishments that you've had, you know what makes you great. You know why someone should hire you. You know the value that you have to offer. If you're struggling with knowing all those things, again, I would get in touch with a career professional, or send me a quick message. We can have a quick chat about that and I can help you along. But that is what makes up the core of your summary. So the summary section, I guess I should back up here. The summary section is just, for most people, should be about 4 lines. Can be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, but it's mostly 4 lines. And it's basically your sales pitch. It's basically your elevator pitch. It is not an objective statement. And here's the difference. If you have an objective statement and you're like over the age of 16, I want you to take it off your resume. Okay? The difference between an objective and a summary is who needs what. So an objective statement usually reads as what you need as a candidate, right? An objective statement usually says, I'm looking for this because of this reason. When you really want to advance your career, a summary section says, I can do this for you. Do you see the difference? The objective is more, here's what you can do for me, and the summary is, here's what I can do for you. People want to hire the, here's how I can help you person. They don't want the person who's like, I want to work at your company because it'll help me do whatever. It'll help me advance my career. It will help me get some experience. I'm looking for this. You don't want to be telling your future employer what you get out of the deal. You want to be telling them what they get out of the deal. If they hire you, if they invest in you, here's what you get with me. and here's why this is a good fit. Here's why this makes sense. Here's how I will add value to your company. That's what a summary section does. Okay? So if you have an objective statement, which was incredibly common to have 5-10 years ago for sure. Yeah, 10 years ago, absolutely. Almost everybody had an objective statement on their resume. So if you're one of those people that has an objective statement, get rid of it. Just toss it, delete it, backspace all the way. Get rid of it and replace it with a summary section. If you already have a summary section, congratulations, that's awesome. But I want you to take a look at it. Maybe we can update it a little bit. So here's some of the core elements that your summary section should have. So your summary section should have how many years experience do you have, especially if you have a decent amount of experience. And by a decent amount, I would say anything 5 years plus. So include that. If you have had a progressive career, I would also use that word. So if you started at a company or you've moved yourself up, like over time, you've been promoted. I would say that. I would say I've had 10 years progressive success in pharmaceutical sales, which is the other element that your summary should have. Your area of expertise, your niche, your industry. Where do you excel? Is it pharmaceutical sales? Do you excel in mechanical engineering? Do you excel more in healthcare environments? Are you a retail professional? Where do you excel? So years of experience, your industry expertise. The summary section also should include some soft skills or strengths that might not otherwise be completely evident elsewhere in your resume. So elsewhere in your resume, and we're going to talk about this in coming weeks, but like in your career experience, you're going to be talking about accomplishments. And again, I'm going to dive into that more in 2 weeks. We're going to go through the career history section. But you're going to be talking a lot about accomplishments and quantifiable accomplishments and putting numbers to things. But how you're able to do that usually comes down to some soft skills, such as relationship building, such as just being able to motivate teams to do what you want them to do, being able to cultivate cultures where everyone wants to give you their best. So those things are kind of hard to put elsewhere in the resume. So the summary section is a really good place to put that. Like if you're an excellent presenter, if you like thrive when someone puts you on stage or puts you in front of a group of people, put that into the summary. I would say like polished presenter and communicator. You might have it in your career experience. You might have that listed, like deliver presentations to 50 people plus or something like that on a regular basis. That's great, but in the summary section, you're sort of able to toot your own horn a little bit more. You have that luxury of being a little bit more descriptive, so that you're a motivating presenter, or you're a motivating manager, or you're able to generate buy-in and consensus for change and new ideas. Or maybe you're really innovative. You're able to uncover previously unseen solutions for chronic problems. Something like that, right? Like, so you have a little bit more leeway and luxury to talk about your strengths in the summary section in a way that you can't really put elsewhere in your resume. You also want to use the summary section to call attention to major accomplishments. So if there was a year that sales just went through the roof, you drove a double or triple digit year-over-year increase, bring attention to that in the summary section. So even though it might be repeated elsewhere in your resume, if it's that big of a deal, it's worth repeating, right? Or maybe there was a really huge project that they put you on that was super high profile for the company. Or maybe you were in charge of a really large team. Or maybe you hit an impossible deadline. So these sorts of accomplishments, these sorts of things where you think back and you're like, wow, I'm not even sure how I pulled that off. Those sorts of moments are the moments you want to highlight in the summary section. So keep it somewhat concise, keep it to the point, but you want to include those sort of core elements in the summary section. Again, four lines, maybe 6 tops. It's not meant to be a novel, it's not meant to be a cover letter. It's a summary, it's short, but you want to include, again, years of experience, industry expertise, some of those soft skills that you want someone to know, but you can't really find place for them elsewhere in the resume, and those major, most notable career accomplishments. Throw those into the summary section too, okay? And that is it. That is the top 20% of your resume. Just about. The key skills section is also a section that we're going to tackle, but I'm going to use a whole session to talk about key skills because I love that section, and I want you to make friends with the key skills section. It makes a world of difference. So if you have a summary section now, again, I want you to go back and update it because maybe those years of experience have changed. Maybe those big accomplishments have changed. Maybe you've developed some new soft skills that you really would like to highlight. Maybe you've shifted your career in the last little while, and your industry or your niche or your expertise field has changed a little bit. Make sure you update all that. So quick recap. Your name and contact information. Make sure your contact information is right, is accurate, and make sure you have a professional email address. Your headline, if you don't have one, add one. If you have one, update it. Make sure it reflects who you are and where you want to go as an employee. So think position title. And then your summary section, which we just sort of exhausted, I think. Your summary section should include years experience, your industry or your area of expertise, your sort of niche, soft skills, and accomplishments. Okay? So that's it. Hop to it. Go. So I want you to tackle those sections. I want you to update those 3 major sections of your resume. And then meet me back here next week, next Friday, for another live lunch and learn. And I'm going to go through the key skills section. And then the week after that, we're going to go through the career history, the experience section. And the week after that, we're going to tackle education and any additional sections, like awards, community involvement, volunteering, that sort of thing. People sometimes don't know where all that stuff goes. So I'm going to help you out with that. All right, that is it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions about what I just went through, please feel free to leave me a comment or send me a private message or email me, Tammy@kitglasscareers.com, and I will get back to you. I will help you out. That's what I'm here for. All right, enjoy your Friday. Get up, sneak out early today if you can, and get going on your weekend. I hope it's a good one. See you later. Bye.